Oh, hey, whoa. Let me sip this water again really quick. I was hacking up a lung here before I went live. There we go. Turn on the radio voice, turn on the podcast voice. There you have it, folks, and welcome to the Barrel Buddies. I'm Jimmy. And look at this. You get solo Jimmy tonight on this wonderful June 18th, hot summer day here in Las Vegas. You guys don't want to be out here. Our viewers do not want anything to do with Las Vegas right now. We are, I think it was 110. And the car when I hopped in the car after work, it was 158 degrees inside the car. So there you have it. I'm going to give it a minute, let some people roll in. So if you're watching this after the fact, you probably want to skip ahead until you see me open the bottle. So we're going to give it a couple minutes for people to roll in. We haven't been on air in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Like we always say, that's life. As Frank Sinatra would say. So we just have had a lot of stuff going on. BJ's been really busy with stuff. He's out of town right now, and I'm like at a convention in Indianapolis. So I hope that he's having a blast. He went to some wonderful Midwest must-go-to establishments in Indy. For those that don't know, I think it's St. Elmo's Steakhouse is a big one. So I know he went there and reported in that it was absolutely a fantastic experience. And we have a big show tonight. I wanted to jump right in and start talking about Eagle Rare here in a minute. So I see some people trickling in. So if you're new to the chat, please type a little hello. Let me know that you guys are here and alive, and it's not all bots. It's not all YouTube bots on the channel, even though I wouldn't mind a couple of thousand YouTube bots watching the channel to bump those numbers up. But here you have it. Big news, big news. Eagle Rare 12-year dropped. And no, I do not have a bottle of the Eagle Rare 12-year. But I'm really, really looking forward to going into the story behind this release. I do, however, have some of the good old classic Eagle Rare 10-year. And then I also broke out a little Buffalo Trace. So we have two here on the table with limited space. So we will get pouring here shortly. A quick barrel update. The barrel is doing fantastic. I've noticed that it's getting a little bit of seepage, which is a good thing, and you can't really see it out the back here, but actually you can see it there in the front there. You get a little bit of that rim on the side. Nothing to really worry about. We have it sitting in this half pan, obviously, because of some dripping. But that's kind of normal here with barrels and their normal barrel Lamaze is that, whiskey is just going in and out of those barrels with the temperature fluctuations. And I've been moving it around. It's been in the garage for a few nights. I brought it back inside for a couple of days. I wasn't really thrilled about leaving it in the garage here in Vegas in the heat. I know a lot of people and online, they were like, it's okay. Yeah, you can leave it out in the garage. Smoke Wagon does it. They age all their barrels in their warehouse. And I'm like, I don't know that I want to chance it in the Vegas summer. Like if we were in a normal non-desert city like Vegas, or anywhere here in the Southwest/West on the West Coast, I would be more, if this was like back in Ohio or somewhere in Boston, more than okay with leaving it out in the garage. I just really don't want to leave something baking in the garage. So yeah, Jimmy Jam, welcome to the show. Oh yeah, we're sweating it out all right. It has been a scorcher. If I didn't have the show tonight, I would be in the pool. I'll tell you that much. So looking forward to still probably jumping in after the show. So can't wait for that. So Eagle Rare. So a couple of days ago at the Buffalo Trace Distillery, they actually announced this a couple of months ago, but that they were going to release Eagle Rare 12-year. And there's been a lot of speculation as to, oh, why are they doing this? What's going on at Buffalo Trace, right? And so, I was trying to put some thought into it and trying not to get too far down the rabbit hole, the Reddit rabbit hole and the forums rabbit hole and Facebook group rabbit hole of all these people's opinions as to what Buffalo Trace is really doing here. But I would assume that, and my opinion is that we're over the hump with the bourbon craze, right? And so stuff is sitting on the racks for longer. Stuff is sitting in warehouses for longer. Stuff is sitting in barrels for a lot longer because these things aren't selling. And Uncle P, good evening, sir, to you. First of all, Uncle P, good to see you. Jimmy Jam, how's the weather out there? I hear that in the Midwest there's quite the storm front moving through. So I hope that everyone is staying safe out there and there's no tornadoes. And yeah, stay safe, stay hunkered down, get into those basements, into that wine cellar. Unfortunately, we don't really get basements out here in Vegas, and it would be really cool to have a basement and just turn it into like one massive giant bar / wine cellar. But we're not fortunate enough with the Vegas homes to have basements out here. I'm sure there's I know of a few, but they're not common. So anyways, Buffalo Trace a couple of days ago released, and I don't want to show you guys a picture. You guys can look it up. Uncle P, had some big storms earlier and just thunderstorms. Yeah. I heard there's a big front hitting you guys out there in the Midwest. So stay safe is all I have to tell you guys. So with Eagle Rare, this 12-year dropped a couple of days ago, and they released 1,200 bottles at the distillery, and you can look up. Just Google it. There's pictures from the Buffalo Trace distillery. It was a distillery only shop release. So what that means is you have to go wait in line at the distillery before they open and to get access to the gift shop. As most of you know, the Buffalo Trace distillery, most of the big distillers, when you go to their gift shops, they'll usually have a few allocated bottles that you can buy throughout the day. They'll do they'll stock the shelves up with something that they'll have randomly. And Buffalo Trace really hyped this up, and they're like, hey guys, latest and greatest. So what they've done is, and I'll talk a little bit about regular Eagle Rare. So standard Eagle Rare, for most of you that are very familiar with bourbon and whiskey, this is a 10-year product. I'll go a little bit into the history of Eagle Rare, and this is coming in at 45%. So what they've done with the 12-year is they obviously aged it for 2 additional years, but it was bottled at 47.5. Let me confirm that. Yes. So it's bottled at 95 proof. So it's got a little bit of a bump up in the proof, and it's 2 extra years of aging. So, okay. I'm interested. MSRP, $50. Okay. It's kind of checking all the boxes of it's meeting that it's under that 10-year average age statement that we always talk about here on the show, where you want to sort of stay around in that ballpark of like $10 per year is sort of like the typical average age price, in my opinion, that's affordable. So it's well under that for a value bourbon, way under that, $50 MSRP. So it checks all the boxes of like, wow. The line stretched for hours at the distillery that morning. There's a couple of news articles out there that show it was just a complete tater craze. So everybody lined up for it. Everybody was losing their minds. The secondary market strikes again. The majority of these bottles were hit the same day on Facebook groups than the secondary groups. $500, and they were selling. So these people were going down there, and I think it was limit 1 or 2 per person. It was very, very limited. And people are already flipping them that same day, and they were selling for $500 a pop. I would tell all of you, if you're watching us, to know, never jump on the secondary market for something like that hype, especially that an initial release, because you're really taking a gamble. No one really knows how it is. a slight increase in ABV, 2 years extra age statement. It's already, I don't know that you can do much else with a wheater, right? You think about at that point, you're kind of hitting like some of the Weller territory. Anyways, it's just, I am just baffled by it. But for those that don't know, just going back to the original Eagle Rare. So this has actually been around for a very, very long time. So the 10-year, and I didn't know this, was originally introduced when it was through Seagram's by their distiller at the time, Charles Beam, was in 1975. So Eagle Rare has been around for decades. But straight from, excuse me, it has been around for decades. And it was originally 101 proof 10-year. And this is coming in at 40. This is what did I say? It was 45. So you get a 90, you got a 90 proofer. Used to be 101 proof. Excuse me. Geez, again, we're going to crack this open and I'm going to start pouring it because maybe I just need some whiskey. So Eagle Rare, it's saying here that on Wiki that it was one of the last new bourbon brands introduced prior to the current era of small batch bourbons. So that's very cool. I guess we're pulling off the foil here. See if we can get some ASMR. I don't know if you're going to get the pop. Let's try it here and see if we get a pop. Oh, that was pretty good. Oh, ho, 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 ho. There we go. So, bam. All right. Very good. So this has been around forever. So anyways, introduced in 1975. And then the Sazerac company acquired Eagle Rare from Seagram's in 1989. So they had it under the Sazerac flag for about 15 years almost. Sazerac's Kentucky distillery was then known as the George T. Stagg Distillery. And then today, this is what we know as Buffalo Trace. And then the original, so what happened was in March of 2005, they ended up discontinuing the original 101 proof or 10-year non-single barrel, and they moved it to what we have today, which is 90 proof. They had a second variety which started in 2000, where they had a 17-year is when they introduced for the antique collection. So if you think of BTAC, the Buffalo Trace Antique Collection, you had Eagle Rare 17, and it was originally bottled at 90 proof, just like the 10-year offering. And then in 2018, they bumped it up a little bit to 101 proof. I wonder if, and in my opinion, and from most of the circles that I talked to about whiskey, they said that this is actually the worst. It was the 17 years the worst tasting BTAC out of all of them, right up there with the Saz 18. So interesting, right? In 2019, they then moved to making a 20-year limited edition expression, which was named Double Eagle Very Rare at 101 proof, and that had an MSRP of $2,000 a bottle. I've only seen that at one place. I've only seen that bottle at, of all places, when I was with BJ, and I wish he was here to back this story up. When we were at Disneyland, we were at a bar that he took me to there a handful of years ago, and they had it on the shelf. Couldn't believe it. It comes in this beautiful box, big eagle on the front, really big deal. They blow it, over the top with their marketing for a $2,000 bottle. They better, right? Didn't have any. Because obviously I haven't heard great things about the 17 years, so I didn't want to jump right in and, oh yeah, let's get some of that 20-year because it's going to taste better. I always talk about age doesn't mean better tasting. So just keep that in mind. So anyway, going back to the 12-year, and I know I'm kind of jumping around here, but back to the 12-year, MSRP of $50. I don't know if it's going to end up becoming a everyday release. It had a ton of hype on the initial release here. They said that some of it is getting shipped, so you are going to see it around the country. It appears to be shipping to retailers in June of 2025. There's no official list of where it's going first. They said it's going to be a rolling launch. It's going to be, like we said, MSRP of $49.99. I don't expect any stores to have it at MSRP. Maybe your big box locations will have it at MSRP, but I don't expect your mom and pop shops, if they get any, the big ones, the big players, to keep it at that price. So they said that it will be a permanent addition to the lineup. So right there, don't worry about it. Don't have FOMO. Don't have any fear of missing out. Everybody will get it. It makes me think of the Old Fitz release that just has started coming down the pipe, the 7-year. That's another bottle. It's like people are losing their minds over it. I'm like, guys, for these everyday releases that are going to be everyday releases down the road here, you'll get them. The shelves, our cup overfloweth. You will be able to find this everywhere. People are going crazy for this, and it's just the first year's release is going to be limited, but they are going to be releasing it in mass very soon. They said they will begin international distribution in the fall of 2025, according to Buffalo Trace. They will continue to distill Eagle Rare 10. And with the 12-year, you're just getting a little bit slightly older, a little bit stronger version of it. So it just looks like they're just putting something extra on the shelves, a little bit of a money grab. I totally get it. And what I appreciate about it, it's definitely more money, Uncle P. So the age, in my opinion, I think that they just have a lot of the 10-year that was still sitting in these warehouses in barrels, that they're like, hey, some marketer, and I actually think this is quite brilliant, where they're like, let's just make a new lineup. Look at all these other brands that do the same thing, right? You look at kind of like Wild Turkey, you've got Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. They have these different years people lose their minds over. This is just one of those offerings where they're like, hey, we need to make a couple extra bucks here in the bourbon downturn of the economy. I totally get it. They're doing a smart move by, I think, releasing it at a great MSRP. You get $49.99. It's a $50 release. I think that's a great value in bourbon. I have not had it yet. So today we are only going to taste and review the 10-year. The Eagle Rare 10-year, let's see what the latest and greatest Eagle Rare. Like if I wanted to go today and get some, $52.99 if I went to go get it, $54.99 at Total Wine, which is one of our big box stores here in Vegas. And I would say it's around that. I've seen it in like the 50s to 60s. I mean, if you're going to get a 12-year, I think it's probably going to fall in line on that price range. Most stores are probably going to price it obviously above the 10-year. So I would say you'll probably see the 12-year, even though MSRP is 50 from the distillery, you're probably looking at 60 to 70, $69.99, some price along those lines. Which, you think about it, Wild Turkey Rare Breed falls in at that category. Some of the Jack Daniel's single barrels also fall into that price range. So very, very affordable, like everyday drinker. And I think Eagle Rare is another one of those brands that I compare to Blanton's, where it's a type of whiskey that I like to introduce people that aren't typically used to drinking bourbon and whiskey straight up, because you're getting a lot more of like a sweetness, lower proof, way more approachable than saying, hey, new whiskey drinker, try this 60% single barrel, and you're just like throwing a rare breed at them right out the gate. And that's usually a bit much, because as we've talked about on the show, your palates are always learning, and it's an alcohol, right? And it's going to be a shock to the senses on something that's like a mega proof like that. Let alone think about some of the Jack Daniel's single barrels, some of the rye, some of the straight bourbons come in at like 63%, 65%. Some of the single barrel releases from them have been hazmat, so you're getting like 70% alcoholic, guys. This is not stuff that you want to give to the first timers. But I think Buffalo Trace, which is why I also broke out the Buffalo Trace, the Blantons, which I have behind me there on the top shelf, that shelf there, the middle shelf, and the Eagle Rare 10-year. Very, very approachable. Once we do get access to a 12-year Eagle Rare 12-year bottle, we'll definitely do a review here on the show, and we'll definitely do a comparison. I already have some reviews that I've read about the 12-year that are some people that I usually always reference and fall in line with my reviews. And I always tell people that they're like, oh, what's the best review? People ask me, what's the best reviewer? Where should I get my reviews from? And I'm like, listen, at the end of the day, it sounds weird, but this is a food product and everybody has different tastes. And what I think you need to do is you need to find reviewers out there that their tasting notes fall in line with something of your tasting notes. They would run in parallel, right? So you have to go out there and look for that. There's some reviewers that like take a crap all over some of these lower proof weeders, and they're like, yeah, they're not good. They taste like water or whatever. Those usually aren't the reviewers that I'll continue to follow. But some that are like, hey, it's approachable. It's a good entry point into people that are drinking whiskey straight up. Then I highly recommend it. Highly recommend those types of reviewers to follow. And they're a dime a dozen. I mean, obviously you guys are here following us, so I'm sure you all appreciate our reviews and our wealth of knowledge that we share. Thank you, Mr. Jimmy. Good to have all the facts from the Barrel Buddies. It is good to have all the facts from the Barrel Buddies. And so that's all I recommend. Like when you find a reviewer where they're like, you know what? Yeah, that is exactly what it tastes like. Then you usually have a winner of somebody that you should be following and taking their examples. But then on the flip side of that, there's terrible people out there. There's, as BJ rants on some of the shows, I rant on some of the shows. There's reviewers that we despise, we don't get along with. I guess we call it healthy competition within the industry, but there's some people that we really don't like. There's some reviewers that completely get it wrong. I think that there's a lot of paid shills out there too that you have to be careful of. And there are, you think of like influencers, everybody's watching reels on social media. A lot of those are paid. You guys have to be careful with what you listen to and what information you believe on the internet. And that not only applies for reviews, but that even applies for news. We won't go down that rabbit hole, but you guys all know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to say one thing right out the gate. When I poured this Eagle Rare and I've just been talking to you guys, I am about a foot away from the Glencairn. I can smell it from the mic. Like it is just this rich, sweet caramel, almost like it's not even near me yet. And I'm getting all these notes from it. So I am already floored by the nose that I'm getting from this already. Wow. Like you're getting almost like a berry sweetness, like berries and sugar, like creme brulee sugar, burnt sugar. And then there's some type of like melon or sweetness that's there. I'm going to jump right into this, guys. So cheers. Let me know in the chat if you're enjoying a beverage tonight with the Barrel Buddies. No shame here. This is a judgment-free zone. You're talking to the Barrel Buddies here. We just had Busch Light Apple on the last show. So don't be ashamed with what you're drinking tonight. If it's Old Crow, if it's Boone's Farm, if it's King Cobra, put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. Cheers, Barrel Buddies. Ooh. Okay. Ooh. Wow. Okay. Kind of throwing me off a little bit. And here's why. It's very light and delicate. It's not what I expected from this based on the smell. I expected on the smell it was good and the taste was going to be a little bit more rich. And it's light. And I think that may be with the 45%. I typically am not, I just personally am not a huge fan of the lower proof, even though I just went on my rant about the proofs. But personally, I like 50, 55 ABV and above. I think you're getting, even though that alcohol goes up, that percentage, I think you're getting a lot more flavor. I haven't really found a lot of bourbons and whiskeys that float in the 40s ABV that I'm a big fan of. But that's okay. That's okay. Very peppery as well, which is throwing me off. So it's like a sweet pepper but very, 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 very approachable. Like this is very light and delicate, sweet, light, delicate, peppery. Those melon notes are there on the nose, like cantaloupe. I know it's kind of off the wall. Ooh, tasty. I need to go in again here. And we follow the 3-sip rule here. And for those new to the show, yes, there we go. OGD 114, the old granddad 114. Jimmy Jam, nice. Great pour there. Uncle P's got a Land Shark. Always a fan of Land Shark. Land Shark is never a bad lager choice that's out there. So getting into this 3-sip rule, that was number 2. It's opening up a bit more is like my palate's getting used to it now. That shock, that initial, not even really a shock, just that, hey, you're drinking alcohol. Get some more flavors out of it now. Let's see here. Ooh. Man, that is an easy sipper, guys. This is like, and this has legs for days. If you could see this Glencairn, like, but it's strange with how kind of delicate tasting it is, but in all the best ways. But it's not super complex. Let me get that straight. Like, yeah, it's a 10-year product. Yeah, it's got a good age statement on it. And maybe it's not meant to be, right? Like if I had the master distiller next to me, we can ask him these questions, kind of the choices why. And a lot of the times they're like, oh, well, that's the core flavor of our distillery, right? Like those master distillers are always trying to, their goal is consistency. They're always making sure that they know what their product should taste like. And barrels vary wildly based on what rickhouse they're at, what time of the year it was thrown into a barrel, how long it's been in the barrel, what have been the fluctuations in temperature during the time it's been in that barrel. There's all of these factors that go into it. So these master distillers are brought in to, organize, the chaos and figure out what is that core flavor and taste profile and expression that they're going for that really makes their product stand out from others. And with this, I still would definitely recommend this for entry-level drinkers, for those people that are really just kind of dipping their toes in the water with drinking whiskey straight up. This is par for the course. This is exactly where I think you want to start with. Let's get into it again. Yeah. So maybe now I get a little bit of the melon on the back end. Still very peppery, very pepper forward, like black pepper, which is most likely, well, that's from the oak. So that's from the oak barrel, that oak char in there. But you're getting the charred sugars. So you're getting like a light sweetness, very delicate flavors. Solid. Very, very solid. Like I said, this is something that you can share with somebody that's like, hey, I want to get into whiskey and I don't know where to start. I think Eagle Rare is a great start to get somebody into whiskey, drinking straight up. Availability. So we talked about price, and availability is a tough one. So Eagle Rare, I think, it's one of those bottles like Blanton's where people kind of lose their minds and scoop it up like when it comes out, like once a month. I think it comes out, I don't know if it drops quarterly, but I would say I see it here in Vegas dropping in the distro probably once a month, every 2 months or every quarter. It gets restocked on the shelves, but it doesn't last long. I'm not saying it flies off the shelves on day one, but there is still a lot of hype around this bottle. A, because of that affordability. B, it's a pretty bottle too. I mean, you look at this Eagle Rare. I mean, this is a great looking bottle, right? Like, who doesn't want a big soaring eagle on the front of your bottle? America, right? Like, that's about as American Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey as you get. So let's read the back of it here. So what's our story from Buffalo Trace? So life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, the cornerstones of the birth of a nation, epitomized by the American bald eagle. That nation has come to represent the freedom, spirit, and independence of the individual, giving the world products and innovation that are uniquely to its own. One such innovation was Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. Damn right. Early Kentucky settlers created bourbon, the true American spirit, in the late 1700s. By practice and protected by law, no other distilled spirits adheres to standards as strict as those established for Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, and few other whiskeys can offer even a glimpse of the great whiskeys making found in Eagle Rare. Eagle Rare 10-year whiskey has a sweet, oaky nose and full of complex body, reminiscent of a fine port wine. I don't know about that. This rare whiskey is best served neat or over ice. Of course, feel free to drink Eagle Rare in such a classic cocktail as well as the Manhattan or the Whiskey Sour. Absolutely. I would be a little hesitant to put Eagle Rare in a cocktail. And the reason being is the proof isn't super high. I always recommend, I get asked the question a lot of like, hey, what's a really good whiskey to put in a cocktail? Like an old fashioned, a Negroni, a Manhattan, a whiskey sour, et cetera, et cetera. I always recommend something on the higher proof side, because what'll happen is you'll mix a low proofer like this in a cocktail and it kind of loses that whiskey flavor. Like, yeah, you'll still have the elements there, but if you're drinking a spirit forward cocktail, you want something with a bit more oomph to it, right? Because you're technically watering it down with juice. Like that's all a cocktail is: juice or seltzers, something along those lines. And you have to find something some whiskey that'll stand out when you're making cocktails. And I don't know. I wouldn't use Eagle Rare personally. I'm sure people do, and I'm sure people are all about it in a cocktail. So to each his own. I would only recommend drinking this straight up. I do have in my water here, I do have a little ice cube. So let's see how that changes things. Oh, Cora, a little ice cube. There, I threw Cora an ice cube. Get that ice cube. So Cora, Bourbon Dog, is sitting on her little bourbon couch, and I just get the ice cube. She's laying down, and I threw her the ice cube, and it kind of hit her butt, and now she's staring at it. Get the cube. All right, there she goes. You gonna get the ice cube or what? Anyway. It's going to melt if you don't eat it. There she goes. Oh, and she makes it such a struggle to sit up. There you go. If you guys could see this on camera. I don't know if you guys can hear her chewing the ice. She got it. She found it. All right, anyway. So we got our cube in there. Let's give it a little swirl. Jimmy Jam, I think the Eagle Rare would be right up your alley. All right, let's see how the ice cube kind of changes the flavor here. Oh, this is trouble. Okay. This is a big problem. It needs an ice cube. The pepperiness completely goes away. It gets very caramel creaminess, a lot more sweeter. This is the entry level you want to give to somebody. This is almost like a caramel apple. Like you are getting that caramel, sweet, creme brulee sugar, burnt sugar flavor, and like zero alcohol burn when this has a cube in it. I am floored, actually. I think this is just one of those whiskeys that was meant to be on the rocks. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. I'd say a lot of whiskeys aren't fall in that category. I wouldn't say that. There's a lot of whiskeys that ice helps, but there's probably more that it doesn't help. But this is in one of those categories where it definitely helps it along. Wow. That's trouble right there. That's trouble in a glass, friends. Woo! That pepper, it was very pepper forward when it was straight up. When you added those rocks, that just completely faded away. The ice in there, it got a little bit more, it got more cooler too. I think it added a little bit more like creaminess to the flavor. Oh, man. Going again. Oh, that's tasty. Man, oh, man. Pouring another. Here we go. Good pop. We're getting good cork pops from the bottles, too. There we go. A couple of glugs. Very good. All right. So yeah. And here's what's cool about Eagle Rare. So like I said, I find it, I guess I'd call it semi-allocated. Excuse me. You think about allocated bottles, those come out like what, once a year, usually twice a year. The reason I'm saying this is semi-allocated, as I talked about, every few months I see it being restocked on the shelves. So it might be difficult to find. It depends on where you're at. Cora should be. If I had another chair here, the problem is I have that really nice leather chair. I don't want the dog jumping in that, scratching up the leather. But I will work on a chair for Cora. Right now she's on the couch over there, right next to us, hanging out. This is like the kind of the waiting room for the Barrel Buddies next to me here. So she's good over there. She's good. Pop goes the eagle. Exactly. Uncle Pete sure does. I don't drink a lot of Eagle Rare, mind you. Like, I know about it. I respect it. Again, I try to stay away from those lower proofs because I can't mix it in a cocktail usually. And it's just not really my bag. Like, I like stuff that has a little bit more oomph to it and drink for effect. And I don't really want to sit there and sip on a 45er all night long. And it's just kind of like water. I guess, some people are all about it, but when you throw an ice cube in this, it's dangerous. Primo. Fantastic. Wow. Like, I see why this is a staple. I see why it's been around since the 70s, even though this isn't the original 101 proof. I would love if anybody has any leads on 101 proof, anybody has an old dusty bottle that they know of, or if you guys go out hunting and go to some liquor stores and see some really old Eagle Rare bottle, find out the price. And if it's, I say under $200, I say you buy it. I'll pay you $200 to ship it to me. Well, I'll pay for the bottle and for shipping. But keep an eye out because I would love to try the 101 proof at this point. The reviews on the 12-year haven't been great. Now it's like the big reveal. So initial reviews of it have just kind of been meh. 2 extra years in the barrel and a little bit bump in the ABV. Nobody's on initial reviews online are raving about it. They say it's got a little bit more complexity and a little bit more depth to it, but nobody's saying that it's like the mind-blowing, like, oh, I got to go run out and get it. And that's fine. I don't expect it. I think it's a smart move by Buffalo Trace Marketing to introduce it. It's an affordable, new hypey bottle. Eagle Rare has a phenomenal reputation in the industry, as does most of the Buffalo Trace products. I highly recommend it and give it a thumbs up for sure. I'll get to the score in a second. I wanted to talk a little bit back to the Eagle Rare, and I digressed a little bit here. So these also come in store picks. So you'll find on rare occasion stores that will buy a barrel of the 10-year all to themselves. So what happens is Buffalo Trace will send these stores a sampling of anywhere from like 3 to 6 like little hip flasks for them to try, these shop owners to try like, hey, what's the best one out of this? And then if you're committed to buy the barrel, we'll bottle it and send it to you. You throw the sticker on it and there you go. I do have a few store picks of Eagle Rare. Was not planning to open them tonight on the show because they're a lot more rare to find, but they are out there. And I can't say that they're better. People are like, oh, do they taste better? I would say that they're different. I think store picks have a bit of FOMO too. Like you're like, oh, it's got a cool sticker on it. Yeah, they run a bit more. They're a bit more pricier. So I would say the store picks probably run like 70. So not like completely out of the realm of like it's fairly affordable to everybody at that price point. I've had some store picks that have been really good. I've had some store picks that have just been meh. Like it's a gamble. The ones I have, I think from a few local shops, where either BJ and I have helped with the pick, which is really cool, um, or we tasted the picks and their pick was the one that we picked as well. So typically they're like the best. You know, you think of like the top tier Eagle Rares, and that's typically where you're falling in line with those store picks. And you'll see on the bottle they'll have like a really cool silver sticker, like a circular sticker right on the bottle there that'll say like the year, and then usually like the store logo or something on it, which is pretty cool. Score. So as you know, on the scoring system here on the Barrel Buddies, we have 3 categories: nose, taste, and value that we rate all of our bottles on. The nose immediately gets a 3. So this is all out of 10 or 100. And we split it up between the 3 categories, with 1 point reserved for a blown away bonus if it completely blows you away. The nose on this, hands down, was a 3. As I said, when I poured this, I was like overwhelmed with the nose on this. I don't know how they do that. I can't tell you the countless 10-year bourbons, whiskeys that we've opened that you're just like, where's the nose? And you have to really like get in there to really get anything. But like I said, when I poured this like a foot away, I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Really good stuff. Woof. That is tasty with an ice cube, gents and ladies. This is great. This is great. All right. So there's your nose. Taste. I'm kind of torn on it. I'm not a huge pepper fan, as you guys know. I want you to mash a donut and sweeter the better. Creme brulee, donut, cheesecake, mix it all together. That's what I'm all about. I'm like the more on the sweeter wheated whiskey side of things. Some ryes out there, I'm not a fan of. There's too much spice, and people are like, oh, it's got essences of allspice and clove and marjoram, and I'm like, I don't want to drink that. That's not what I don't want to drink that. This on the taste, if I didn't put an ice cube in it, I'd give it a 1. And I know or I'd give it like a 1.5, where I'm like, I thought it was a little thin, peppery. Yeah, it's a good entry level, but for me personally, it wasn't checking any of the boxes on the taste. However, once that ice cube goes in it, it completely changes what you're drinking. Absolutely completely changes this. That pepperiness, as I said, goes away completely. It somehow gets a little bit more creamier. And I don't know how it does that when it's being watered down. Maybe the cold, something to do with the cold in there, and does something with the viscosity and the mouthfeel. I don't know. And then it's really, really good. It's really good. So I'm going to bump it up. I'm going to give it a 2. I'm going to give it a 2 on the taste. Nose, I gave a 3. Taste, I gave a 2. Value, big drum roll. If you can find this for $55 or whatever I think that was the price point I gave you guys. Under $60, it's a no-brainer. You should have this on your shelf all the time. I know it's very difficult to find, can be difficult to find, but now you guys know what the bottle looks like. You know what to look for. You know what to ask for. And here's the thing. This is one of those bottles that stores, if they sell X amount, they will then get from Buffalo Trace typically more allocation of BTAC or like the really high-end stuff. So they love to push like the Blantons and the Eagle Rare and the Wheatley and the lower end stuff. But, this is something that shop owners want to sell. These aren't museum pieces that are sitting up getting dust in the top shelf where it's like no price on it and you have to ask for the price. So with that being said, it gets a 3 on the price. So right there, we're looking at an 8 all in. So give it an 80. Am I blown away? I wasn't blown away until I put the ice in it. And I want to give it a 0.5 point blown away bonus. Look at that. Wow. So that puts us at an 85, 8.5. I love that score. An 85 for Eagle Rare. I think that's a fair score. It's a great score for a Buffalo Trace product. I'm looking forward to the 10-year product. Hopefully will drop locally once it starts shipping around the country over the next couple of months. So the only difference is it's gold. It's like a gold copper instead of silver label and design. It's a different color. So Keep an eye out for either the silver Eagle Rare or the gold Eagle Rare for the 12-year. I recommend picking them up if you can find them at MSRP. Don't go on the secondary groups and pay $500 for this. For that. That's so crazy. Don't do it. Don't do it at all. I highly recommend this bottle. Like I said, entry level. It gets that 885 score from me. I think Buffalo Trace is sitting on a winner. They've been sitting on a winner now for what? Since they changed the recipe. So what, 25-ish years? Go with what's right. They know what works. It's a huge seller. People love it. Great entry level bourbon is Eagle Rare. So cheers, everyone. Cheers. Cheers, Cora. How you doing? All right. Woo! Guys, that's so good. So good. Not having another one, though. That's all I'm having for tonight. So, well, there you have it. So that's going to wrap up the show. That was Eagle Rare. So you guys got a bit of Eagle Rare with solo Jimmy here. Jimmy Solo today. We'll have BJ back in the saddle next week. I don't know what we're doing, but we are, if you guys haven't noticed, we're creeping up on show number 200. Wow. So I think we're just a couple of shows away from the big show 200. I think that is going to be an on-location show. So I'm going to have a chat with BJ, and we'll figure out where we can be to do a little on-location tasting of something. What I like about that is being on location somewhere is that we can usually have something super high-end at like an affordable price. Like we can go get like a, I don't know, like a Heaven Hill, whatever, 17 or something for $40-$50 a pour, and like be okay with that for like to celebrate our 200th show. So instead of paying $1,500 for the bottle. So be on the lookout for that. I don't know where we're going yet. I have a few ideas in the back of my head on where to go. I know a few people I might want to contact to see if they're open to having us come out. But yeah, so look forward to that. That's at least a month away, but just keep it in the back of your guys' heads. Show 200 is coming up. I don't know what we're doing next week. We're going to play it by ear. We'll probably keep going with I like this entry level chat and entry level whiskeys and bourbons to talk about for everybody. Yeah, very cool. So there you have it, Eagle Rare. Keep an eye out. Go to your stores. You guys now know what it looks like if you didn't know what it looked like before or have heard about some of the hype and FOMO. Buffalo Trace's Eagle Rare. Solid, tasty pick. 85 out of 100 from Jimmy here. So there you have it. And I think that kind of wraps up our show tonight, folks. So as always, thank you for tuning in. I expected a pretty light audience tonight since we've been off the air for a while, but that's okay. We're going to get back in the saddle. We're going to get back in the groove of things here and keep the show going for you guys. And it's always a pleasure to see our regulars joining in the chat. So thank you, as always, for popping in and chatting with us and having a beverage with us this fine evening. And we'll be back next week with a full crew. We'll have BJ back. And then, we'll do it again next week. So cheers and good night to you all. And I don't know, glad tidings. I don't know what else to say. And for Jimmy, this is the Barrel Buddies signing off. Have a great week, great weekend. We'll see you guys next week. Take care. Bye-bye.